I'm 53 years old and there is once again an XLH in bits in my living room. There you go. I'm having a reflective time because I realised that when my dad was my age he was in middle management and had off-road parking. So, never mind. Back to the present time. Main reason for there's a couple of little things I wanted to show you that I've discovered along the way. What we got up here is the clutch cable, and I'll try and get it so that you can actually see it. Yeah, I believe you can. Can you see that little wisp of wire that's just, yeah, there's my thumb, that's just, there it is, that's just sort of coming away from that. And there's a reason for that, there is a reason for that. That cable is prematurely dead. It came with the bike, so I'm not too worried. It's not like I bought it three months ago. Right, if we get down here, right, okay, I nearly fell over backwards because there's crap all over the floor. Right, the reason for it is, and again we'll try and focus, get a bit of light on it. It's very rattly, so what I've got to do is, I think when I put this bike together last winter, I did try and shim it up and it just dicked with it. It meant the clutch was weird. So I'll look into that again, but this is why it's happening. If your lever is waggly, it's going to chafe on the wire and eventually it will start unravelling. It could just be a really, really old clutch cable, but that is not helping. I had a similar thing going on with the throttle, but I've sorted that out. That's all very snug fitting and everything and very nicely routed. Another thing worth looking at, I'm basically dismantling as much of the engine as possible to make it light to take out, because there's only me, and they are hard work. You can't take the back cylinder off because the frame's in the bloody way. If you can, let me know, but I don't see any way of doing it. You can take the front cylinder off. You can take all of the cams out the other side. Actually, I'll show you. And yeah, you can take all the cams out the other side. See, there's no cams in there. Look, 4 little cams. Each pushrod has its own little cam. It's absolutely adorable. But you can't get the oil pump off because the frame's in the way. So that's the problem with that. Obviously I'll take that sprocket off. The starter's come off. You can see the back of the housing. That's where the starter would sit, like a great big sausage. The exhaust pipes, obviously. Good lord, that's 101. That's the first thing that comes off. That and the air cleaner. So on this side I'm taking all the clutch off. It's a nice clutch. I put new plates in it last winter when I did all this shit last time. This keeps coming undone. Every time I've had this primary off, this has been loose, which is ironic because I actually had to pay somebody to undo it for me. I had to take the shaft to a shop because I just couldn't get it off. So I've bought myself a vise, which I'm going to be bolting to the kitchen worktop, which should solve that little problem. Right, down here, this is another important point. That's the primary case viewed from the interior. Not as pretty. And you'll notice there's 2 gaskets there. I saw it once on a video, somebody saying the only way to stop these leaking is put 2 gaskets in, and I didn't even know if he was joking, but they were cheap enough, so I tried it, and it doesn't leak that bad out of the primary, or at all actually. So I think that's actually a bit of good advice. Another bit of brilliant advice that I got from a YouTube video was this, which is when you take the screws out of the primary or out of the other side, the gear case side, stick them in a bit of cardboard in a rough shape because they are all different sizes. And you will never get them back. You will never get them back. There's about 1 million of them. Look at this. There's 1 million screws, and there's a massive. Oh, where's it gone? There it is. There's a massive bolt as well for some weird reason. One thing the 79 Ironhead does not have is any kind of shock compensator. A lot of Ironheads have a massive spring involved in this. Because this is the crankshaft. This is actually attached to the crankshaft. This is hard, serious engine business here. And the crankshaft ragging it about, and you've got this chain and the clutch, and it's all being ragged about. And I'll show you what it is. Hang on. Okay, I found it. You know how when you buy a project bike, like Donald was when I got him, they always come with a couple of boxes full of bits, and some of them, if you're lucky, are actually for the bike. One bit that was in it was this. Look at that. That is gorgeous. That's a very really red, big fat spring. And initially I thought it was it said competition spring on the packet, and I thought it was a kind of hopped up clutch spring. But there was no, and I actually put it in and it fits, but there is no way I could get the clutch, all the bolts done up, or even near the threads. It absolutely wasn't happening. So I put it one side and used the old clutch springs. They're smaller than this, and there's two of them, one fits inside the other. And just sort of, I don't know, just put it on one side and forgot about it. But it turns out that the previous owner must have wanted to replace the spring here, which is kind of a shock absorber spring for the engine, because it does run rough. It runs rough and it runs violent, and the reason is that con rod rattles from bloody side to side. But there is no compensator. Is that what they call them? There isn't one on these. And I actually contacted, I suppose the term is reached out, to a very good YouTuber called Tatro Machine, I think that's how you pronounce it, and said I got this 79 because I noticed the one he was working on was earlier and had this massive spring. I said, where do I put the bloody spring on a 79? And he says, oh, he doesn't need it. I said, oh, fair enough then. So that was, hang on. There was somebody coming up the path, they've gone now. Right, where was I? Oh yeah, it turns out these particular ones just don't have a shock absorber and don't need one, which initially I thought, seems a bit rough, but that turns out to be that. So I'm really, really, really looking forward to this engine going back together, because it's, fingers crossed, it's just going to be so smooth compared to what it has been. I knew it was off. I knew there was something up with it. People say they rattle, people say they make a lot of noise, and they say they vibrate, but seriously, this was bad. So this is progress for a given value, and I'll let you know if anything more horrific or anything more noteworthy occurs, as I'm sure it will.